Hey everybody, it is Sunday and it's time for another edition of Storytime. My guest is currently crawling across my shoulders as she's looking for some happy places to hide or scavenge. But I have with me Lavender, who is a domesticated rat. And more specifically, she's what we call a patchwork rat. This means that she is partially bald. So you've probably seen naked rats before, or you've heard of something called a naked mole rat, which is another species of rodent that is completely hairless. But as far as domesticated rats go, you have your typical fancies. You have your Rex coated, which is kind of like a curly hair. You get patchwork, which is very, very thin hair, and then you have naked rats. So Lavender here is one of our breeder rats. So a lot of the babies you see on the floor actually come from her a couple times a year. And she has a genetic trait that just has it so that she doesn't grow as much fur as other rats do, which is how she gets the name Patchwork. So again, you can kind of see her fur is a little bit thinner and she's got a few little bald spots there, but doesn't make her any the less cute than she already is. Now, she's kind of chuttering on my shoulder right now. This is like a clicking noise that rats do to let you know that they're happy. She also does like what we call some happy sneezes, where she gets really excited and sneezes a lot, which, you know, sometimes people think might be a medical issue, but that's only if we start to see drainage out of their eyes and nose, which with rats is typically red. Sometimes people are like, oh, I think my rat's bleeding from the nose or from the eyes. That's actually part of their mucus. So it's not something we have to worry about, but with her line, part of her sneezing is happy sneezes, and then of course the chuttering. She is a very, very social little girl who just loves attention. She spends plenty of time with us as we do cleaning up in our breeder room and just hanging out with our keepers. Sometimes she'll spend time in pockets, other times she'll spend time in hoodies, but she loves hoarding treats. That's her absolute favorite thing, which is actually a pretty common trait among rats, is this whole, I don't know how much food I'm going to get, I don't know when it's going to be available, so I'm just going to take all of it and I'm going to store it somewhere else. Lavender is our absolute worst offender at hoarding food, as she's cutely cleaning herself on my shoulder. Lavender will take the entire food dish worth of food and run it and hide it underneath blankets and stuff a bunch of stuff on top of it, so we think that her and her cage mates ate all their food. Then we refill it, and then when we go to clean, we end up finding these huge piles of food, mainly because of her. Now, rats get a really bad rap as being dirty animals, as being transmitters of disease, but really, when we have a domesticated rat, none of those tropes are true at all. Domesticated rats are exceptionally friendly. They're very, very smart, to the point that they can know their names, they can learn to do games and play fetch with you. They love getting treat rewards, so you can teach them just about anything, just as long as they get a treat out of it. As you can see, they're actually exceptionally clean animals too. Rats have this tendency to over-groom themselves, not to a point of being detrimental, but typically rats see humans as dirty, so a lot of times when we handle rats, you'll see them lick their fingers and then immediately start washing themselves off, because to rats, we are the dirty species, not the other way around. Now you can see she's pretty cuddly. She loves my body warmth. Part of this is with her being a patchwork rat, that she doesn't get necessarily the retention of body heat that a normal rat would get. So she definitely loves her cuddles more than other rats might. Oh, hello. She's trying to clean my beard for me, apparently. Do you smell pancakes there? Is that what you're thinking? They're very, very cute animals, very, very personable. They're very, very social. This is one of the best small animal pets that you could get. A lot of people come in looking for a hamster, and there's nothing wrong with a hamster, but people don't realize hamsters really are loners. They do their own thing. They only like attention when they feel like it, whereas your rat is going to be like a miniature dog. They're going to want attention every single day. So when you get home from school or from work, you should have a routine where they come out and they're playing with you and out and around, getting to know the family. They can become friends with the other animals that you have in the house. My first rat was best friends with my dog at the time, and they would groom each other and play with one another and then take naps together. So rats can be very, very great family members, not just for you and your kids, but also for the other animals in your house, as long as they don't have a big predatory instinct. So with that, we're going to get reading our book this week, which is Naked Mole Rat Gets Dressed by Mo Willems. So Kirby recommended this book and dropped it off for me, And I figure since we don't have naked mole rats, the next best thing is having Miss Lavender here, who's our patchwork rat. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. I'm gonna make sure you guys can see the pages as I hold the book up. So, there is so much to learn about the fascinating little creatures known as naked mole rats. But for this story, you need only to know 3 things. They are a little, they are a little bit rat, they are a little bit mole, they are all naked. Well, they were, with one exception. Wilbur, the naked mole rat, who liked to get dressed. When the other naked mole rats saw him, they said, "Ew, yuck, what are you doing?" "I like clothes," replied Wilbur. "When I get dressed, I can be fancy, or funny, or cool, or I can just be an astronaut." When the others heard that, they said, "Ew, yuck. If you like clothes so much, then why don't you open a store or something?" Naked mole rats can be very sarcastic. But Wilbur thought it was a great idea. The other naked mole rats did not. They brought Wilbur to a giant portrait of Grandpa, the oldest, greatest, and most naked mole rat ever. "Look at that picture," they demanded. "Look at his heroic face. Look at his regal bearing. Look at his total lack of clothing." Grandpa did look heroic. Grandpa did look regal. But he would also look heroic and regal in a casual shirt and some summer slacks. "Ugh," said the other naked mole rats, "don't you get it?" Naked mole rats don't wear clothes. "Why not?" asked Wilbur. Something had to be done. The naked mole rats marched right over to Grandpa and told him all about Wilbur. And then he asked why not. Grandpa was very wise. He thought seriously about everything he had heard. Then he thought some more. Lavender's chuttering again, which means she's enjoying our story. Finally, he said in a heroic, regal voice, "Gather the colony. I shall make a proclamation." When Wilbur heard about Grandpa's proclamation, he knew it was serious. "A proclamation, a proclamation, a proclamation." But he had no idea what to wear. In the end, Wilbur decided to play it safe. Maybe not safe enough. The others were so busy looking at Wilbur's socks that no one noticed Grandpa enter until he cleared his throat and proclaimed, "Fellow naked mole rats, I had never worn clothes until I heard Wilbur's simple question, why not? Why not indeed? Do clothes hurt anyone? No. Are they fun? Well, they may not be for everyone, but this old naked mole rat wishes he had tried getting dressed earlier." Then Grandpa complimented Wilbur on his socks. As fast as his legs could take him, Wilbur rushed home, put on his favorite outfit, and dashed back. When he returned, Wilbur discovered he was not alone. Much had been said about that day, but for this story, you only need to know 3 things. Some of the mole rats were naked, some of the mole rats were clothed. All of the mole rats had a great time. The end. This was a fantastic book, and it's not just about naked mole rats putting on clothes. What this book is really trying to tell you is that sometimes people have lifestyles or live certain ways or have certain cultures that we don't necessarily understand. And that's okay. You don't need to understand it. You just need to realize that that's that person's culture and that's how that person lives and that's how they feel their life is. But sometimes it's worth giving something a try. You may not like a certain type of music or a certain type of food, but sometimes somebody gets you to try it and then you're like, hey, this is actually really good. Or sometimes you may go to a place you wouldn't normally visit and find out you actually really like it there. Everything is about learning, understanding, and accepting that things are sometimes different and they may not be what you're used to, but that doesn't mean they're wrong. It just means you don't know about it yet. So maybe you need to ask questions. And when Wilbur asked, why not? Grandpa was like, that's a great question. Why haven't we thought about wearing clothes as naked mole rats? You can do the same thing in your daily life with pretty much everything. Instead of asking, why do I need to do that? Why don't you ask, why not? Because then you can open up all kinds of cool conversations and you can really learn something about the people around you. So I hope you had fun with our book, Naked Mole Rat Gets Dressed. And I hope you had fun learning a little bit about our precious little Lavender here, the patchwork rat. So until next time, have fun and be safe.